Afternoon everyone, sorry, a little bit delayed. The dogs were going mental because the postman has just arrived with about 20 bloody letters. So I've had to run outside and I thought, sod it, I might as well make a cup of tea. So, today, I've emptied these 4 shelves, as well as one over here on the top, which was Seafires and Harvard. So what I'm doing, just to make it a bit more sort of themed, you've got all the Catalinas and the sort of Royal Naval stuff in here, and the Beaufighters and Blenheims. What I'm going to do is move the Swordfish to the top shelf, because there's quite a few of them and they were spread over sort of 1.5, which then gives 2 shelves to Typhoons, 1 to Tempests, and 1 to Seafires and Harvards. So just to take you to the table where they're all lined out. So just a quick flick through. We'll go through them bit by bit in a second. You've got the Typhoons there, Tempest at the far corner, then 5 Harvards, 6 Seafires, and then a number of different Swordfish all the way along. So let me just put my cup of tea down. I'm just watching the dog because he's a bit dozy, this one, because he's got a bit of a big towel. He walks along and wipes out half the collection as he's doing it. So made quite a bit of progress this week in terms of cleaning stuff. As you can tell, there's been cleaning bottle. Makes it smell nice as well, a bit as a flora. Right, so let's crack on. So the first lot of aircraft I took off were the Hawker Typhoons. And there's different brands in here. So you've got Corgi, Witty Wings, Stroke Sky Guardians, Oxford, Atlas, IXO, and I think there's an easy model in there as well somewhere. So quite a few different brands of Typhoon, but we're talking through one by one. So the first one we've got is this one here. It's a Gerald Basil Stapleton aircraft, ZYY. This aircraft was initially based in the southern counties, but this aircraft represents one from Eindhoven. There's one further down as well. So I had the pleasure of meeting Basil many years ago. Unfortunately, he's passed away now, as many of the pilots have. Really lovely guy. I had a real long chat about Hornchurch in particular because he was based there early war, and of course my first house was next to RAF Hornchurch as well. So nice little chat with him around that. But he was a lovely guy, really lovely guy, and of course a true legend of the skies as well. So that's the Oxford version of that. Then behind that we've got a Corgi desert aircraft. Obviously not really renowned for its performance out in the desert, being quite a heavy old machine. It sort of really come into its own during the sort of the post D-Day element, when it was used to sort of take out panzers and infantry and the like with the rockets, obviously. And next to that, we have one of the more recent Corgi releases, the 4-bladed version, Pulverizer 4. So this one come in for a bit of criticism because it was meant to have larger bombs with it, but it's quite a nice aircraft, to be fair. Nice scheme. The undercarriage on that one is an absolute pig. So for anybody who does get a Typhoon, the more recent ones, I don't know if it's because the mould's getting older, but they come with the up undercarriage fitted, and they're a real pain in the backside to get out. And I think I snapped one of the pegs getting that out, so I had to drill out the peg out of one of the wing roots, which was a real pain in the arse. So yeah, just something to be wary of if you do get it. But again, lovely looking aircraft. One at the front. This one's quite a clunky looking IXO, or an Altair, whatever you want to call it. This one came out of a Japanese magazine subscription. I had to chuck the other one I got, the original IXO, because it just felt a bit, it was screwed together poorly, just not a very good construction, but it's okay. And as you can see, all the front ones here onwards are all D-Day or partial D-Day stripes. The next to that, you've got Zip X or Zip 10. This is the easy model, as you can see. Not a bad rendition, lovely looking scheme. Very light, obviously, in comparison to the rest of them. Then behind that, you've got the flying for the Luftwaffe one, the captured Typhoon, the early Mark 1, with the 3-blade prop. With the yellow complete undercarriage. I'm not going to pick it up because all the undercarriage will fall out and it drive me crazy. Then behind that, we've got Betty, which is a Witty. Really nice, actually. It's really heavy. It's a later Mark 1 with the 4-blade prop. It's a decent enough rendition. It's not perfect, you can see, but I don't think you can see canopy there. The canopy don't fit amazingly, but it's decent enough. And then at the front is the other Witty that was released. There's only 2 Witties released, and this is HHA, which is a rocket firing one with the half D-Day stripes. I quite like that, the half D-Day stripes on the fuselage. The next stat, you've got ZYB. And this is obviously part of the same squadron as Mr. Stapleton himself, and it was the original rocket firing Typhoon. Is it a Typhoon if it hasn't got D-Day stripes? There's arguable, isn't it, really? Really lovely and very hard to find nowadays. I believe this one come all the way from America. I bought it cheap and ended up paying probably twice as much in the postage, but it was worth it at the time. It was really hard to find. Then behind that, you've got PRG, which is one of the Dieppe Raid ones with the, if I could show you underneath, very similar. I guess this is the idea for where D-Day stripes come from, but very similar, but the wider white stripes and the thinner black ones. And then next to that, you've got the Corgi Legends release Dieppe Raider as well, with the same type of scheme, hence they're parked together. Next to that, you've got MRB, which is the most recent, the second most recent release on the Typhoon front. The most recent release is just behind it there with the tiger mouth. As you can see, the Germany-based one. Lovely, again, fully rocketed up. It just looks the part. And then, of course, you've got the Basil Stapleton Corgi example, ZYY. Again, fully rocketed up, half D-Day stripes on the fuselage and D-Day stripes underneath. Then behind that, you've got MRU, and this is the most recent Corgi release. With the blue and white checkers on the tail, representing an aircraft based out in Germany. Then I've got a trio of Typhoons, so the early Mark Typhoons with the 3-blade prop. The car door one doesn't look amazing, I'll be honest with you. I've got 3 of these, and you'll see in a minute I've got 3 Typhoons, Tempests as well, JFKs, which they come from a guy who used them for wargaming. I'm like, really? But 3 of the hardest to find ones to get. No, the smaller stripes are for Dieppe. It was a Dieppe one, James. They were Dieppe Raid markings, the smaller stripes. That's it. So that's the reason they were put on. So obviously the Spitfires had them on the fuselage. Well, I think a few Hurricanes did as well. The like the bomb Hurricanes, which are used in the raid. And then behind that you've got MRX, which is the previous Germany release. With the blue prop with the early 3-blader. So it's quite nice to have the 3-blader and the 4-blader together, which is quite nice. Then behind that you've got ZZ, which is a Warbirds release, which is a gear up only. Really nice looking aircraft. And then for some reason I have got a second ZYY, a second Stapleton one. This one here, I don't know if it has D-Day stripes on or not. It's got half D-Day stripes on the fuselage with the Stapleton one, and that one has as well. So it's the same aircraft. And then you've got the prototype car door one there, which is, let's be honest, it isn't amazing, is it? Let's be frank. Right. So next we're on to the Tempest. I'll give you a quick view of the Swordfish while I just walk over and get me a cup of tea because I'm getting a bit of a croaky old throat. Quite a few Swordfish there. I need 3 Swordfish. Well, I say 4 because one of them's damaged. Sorry guys, it decided to leave me Wi-Fi, so I've just Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, the Wi-Fi crashed. I had to reset it. So, just as I was having a cup of tea, you can make that up because you're... Right, so moving now on to the Tempest. As you can see, again, a variety of makes here. We've got Atlas, Oxford, and Skymax. I believe that's the only 3. Yep. So the first one is JVZ, representing an aircraft out of Newchurch in June 1944, pre-D-Day. And then next to that, we've got an Amacom. Sorry, I forgot about the Amacom. And this is Bowman's aircraft with the yellow spinner. Then we've got 3 JFKs. So JFK is a Skymax one. I had 4 at one point. I actually sold one. Again, bought this from a guy who was using them for wargaming. Make that make sense. Then we've got another Tempest 5 here, JJW. This is part of the Atlas Editions dual fighter set. I forget which aircraft this comes with. It might be Focke-Wulf, I believe. But then next to that, we've got 2 JFEs. The reason we've got 2 JFEs, I don't know if you can see, that one there had an absolute shocker. I bought it cheap. I bought a Typhoon. The geezer threw this in with it. But it's Klosterman's aircraft, so I bought a brand new version now, which is obviously in mint condition. And then behind that, we've got RSD, which I believe is a Canadian fighter. This one's a bombed up Tempest, which is underneath. And then we've got the 3 silver ones. So the first one is the Target Tug aircraft with the yellow and black underneath, which is lovely. Next to that, you've got Zip 12, which is obviously, for those who watch the Typhoon bit, this is the second aircraft of the same pilot. And then behind that, the most recent Oxford release, representing an aircraft out of Germany in 1946, which is going to be very similar to the Tempest 2 that's going to come out at Cyber. I think it's got a blue nose though, rather than a green. So yeah, really, really nice looking model, that one. I don't make a Tempest 2 yet, but it's very similar to the Sea Fury, for anybody who's not overly familiar. Generally, it's a 4-blade prop rather than a 5-blade, or I'm showing you a T20. So very, very similar to that. It's basically the Tempest is its baby brother. So there we go with them ones. Now we're on to the Harvards. I've got 2 Amacom Harvards here, which are quite nice. As you can see, LTA 579. And then the rest, so the desert one is Hobbymaster, as is the silver RAF one. And the one at the front there is an easy model, which had a little bit of variation. But again, a nice little segment to put in, which is going to be moved up with the RAF fighters. Now we've got Seafires, which I'm sure I've shown you all these before, but 4 of these 6 were made by Dave Hunt. The first 4 along the front here. And Dave lives south of the river. I went down to collect these off him, really kind guy. The prototype one I made myself, which isn't great, but it was all good for practice. And then the one behind it is an aircraft out of the Pacific, and a very early Seafire 3, which is part of the Atlas Editions version. Right, so final bit, before I can finish my cup of tea, is the Swordfish. So for those earlier I was talking about it, I still need 4 Swordfish. So I need the 2 silver ones, one of which is on floats. I need the rocket firing D-Day one, which is incredibly hard to find, and I need to get a replacement for this one, which I'll get to in a minute. So again, various brands in here. You've got Atlas Editions, you've got Oxford, you've got Aviation 72, you've got Corgi, and you've got Amacom. So the first one here is an Oxford. I believe this is part of the sinking of the Bismarck ones. The second one is probably my favourite of the lot, and this is the Corgi Legends Swordfish. Again, all the Corgi ones have folding wings, as does this one. And this is arguably the best of the lot in its D-Day scheme, representing an aircraft operated by the Royal Navy historic flight at the time. Then next to that, I've got an Amacom, which is a Code 3, very similar to the silver Corgi one that I need to get, but decent enough nonetheless. They certainly are, James. They're magnificent. I'm wondering whether they're going to be one released next year as part of the Corgi catalogue, or whether it still exists, because it's just a stunning piece of kit. Then next to it, you've got the Night Intruder Swordfish in all black, very similar to the one that's hanging up in the Imperial War Museum, Duxford. And this was based down on the south coast of Kent, and would go out looking for U-boats of a night, hence the reason the big old, if you can see underneath there, I'll show you, the big old ray dome underneath there. The next one is the Aviation 72 Inceptor range. No folding wings, very similar to the Amacom and Oxford moulds, but for some really peculiar reason they painted the inside of the engine white, which I think we all know is completely wrong. And then next to that, another Oxford stroke Atlas one. I'm not quite sure which is which, but they're both next to each other. Really nice looking model though, decent enough, and the engine's painted black. Next to that, another one, which is 4C. Nice looking aircraft. Sorry, going back to the, in that one there, is actually a Royal Navy historic flight one, which is LS326, and hopefully we'll get to see this fly again at some point this year. Then we're on to some more Corgis. So this one needs replacement for some reason. I have literally no idea. The top part of the wing has disappeared off of it, which is a real pain in the arse. So it's going to need a replacement top part of wing from somewhere. It was in the box like it. It looks in the box, there's nothing in the box, so I have no idea what's going on now. Then we have another Corgi one. which is in the same scheme as the Amacon one, which I'll get to in a minute. Really nice looking aircraft. Then next to that, another Royal Navy Historic Flight aircraft, W5856. Well, the actual scheme is Royal Navy Historic Flight. I don't think that's the actual serial. Then next to that, we have my only float plane, Swordfish, representing an aircraft out of Malaysia, I think it is. Then onto the Amacon one, which is a decent enough rendition. It's actually got some rigging in it as well, which is fair enough. But if you look at the standard of rigging on that compared to the Corgi one, there's no comparison. And then the final Corgi one, I believe this might be the VC winning one, the one with H on quote. Hopefully I haven't got it wrong. But yeah, decent amount. I'm really. Country mate don't have it sinking in water problem solved. No, I can't be bothered with that. Sod that. I ain't got time to be code through. I'd rather pay someone to do it. But yeah, so these are the chunks here that are going back in. So what I'm going to do is add the top two as Typhoons, and then a Tempest one, and then the Seafires at the bottom with the Harvards. And then over the back, over into this corner, is going to be entirely Swordfish. Buy parts and sell it for a big profit. Yeah, not a bad idea. And I know James was after looking at this, so I did show this on the video yesterday. But there she is. The Lord Dakota is in with a BBMF and a couple more. So I've actually got 9 Dakotas now, which is quite ludicrous. The only one I'm looking for is the British Airways one. But it goes for silly money at the moment, so I ain't going to bother with that. And while I was looking over here this morning, I found a mosquito in the corner next to where the Marauder and Mitchell is. And it ended up being the last flyer, which was operated. Well, I say the last flyer. There's 4 of them flying now, but the last flyer that was operated by Rolls Royce. I think it was Rolls Royce. No, it was BAE Systems. Apologies. Yeah. So. She's now in with all the all the mosquitoes on the D-Day mosquito shelf. Just the 10. Is it 10? No, 9. I can't count. Sorry. But yeah, so the mosquitoes now very clean, looking in their home, nicely packed out. And the beautiful thing about actually cleaning all these, other than when you break them all, when you take them all off because I'm clumsy like an oaf, is that you actually end up putting them back in a much better fashion than those originally on there, and you end up creating more room than you ever realised. So for me, the shelves now look a lot more organised than they did before, and I thought they looked good before. So it's a really nice thing to do. I don't know if I'm going to get onto this bay tomorrow because I've got to sort out the shed and sort out all the tools, and you can still just be slug in there like a maniac. But other bits I've done this week, obviously I've done the Hellcats. Hellcats have now all been moved together because there was one shelf on the top and one on the bottom, so now all together. And of course, I try not to tread on Apollo, who's just decided to play dead on me. And there's the new Helldiver, for those who haven't seen it on Instagram this morning. What a model. Been waiting for one of these for what feels like a long time to find them at a decent price. So it's gone onto the naval bomber shelf. So you've got a whole shelf of... where's the Lancasters? Right, I haven't got as many as you, Jace, but I think I've got 19 or 20, something like that. There's the Lancs. The Lancs are all in there, which is just as well because I haven't got any more room for them. And then we've got a whole shelf of Halifaxes there as well. And above that, you've got 2 of the 3 Sterlings. And then above that, Wellingtons. All plonked in there with a lone Spitfire doing its thing, which is the Laguna Spitfire scheme that I made up, which I think I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. And then next to that, for those who haven't seen, we've got some more RF medium bombers, strike aircraft. So a whole shelf of Millenniums, whole shelf of both fighters. Where that new one's going to go, I have literally no idea. And then into Catalinas, just a 9 of them because why wouldn't you want 9? And then finally, I must be one of only a few people with all 3 Sunderlands. And my word, they take up some room. And the Yank bombers are all in there. So you've got 3 shelves of B-17s, 3 whole shelves of B-24s, and then a shelf at the bottom with a lone B-17 and a lone B-24. And then the Luftwaffe ones next to it. In the bin, it's not shit. It's really good. The new Beaufighter looks the nuts. There'll be definitely another Beaufighter released at some point for what you call it, for the 2022 catalogue. Which brings me swiftly on, a lovely bit of time in there, onto the new catalogue. So I'll be sitting down tomorrow night at 10 o'clock and be having a chat with Christian, who lives down in Australia. He's off to an air show, actually, funny enough, that morning. So we'll be sitting and chatting about what we expect to see in the new catalogue. Obviously, it's not released now till January, but if those who are following the Corgi website, they have an advent calendar, and every day on the advent calendar, they're giving you either an opportunity to win a prize or just a bit of a sneak peek. I think there'll be a couple of hints on there. I've asked Michael, bless him, at Corgi, who has remained silent. So well done, Corgi, you've got a good one now. He hasn't given me any hints whatsoever, but we can make some educated guesses in terms of what we think might eventually turn up. But yeah, please feel free to join us when you get a chance, if you get a chance tomorrow night. See if I can, hopefully Dan or Gary or both can get on as well, but we'll see. Everyone's got lives outside of Diecast, of course. But yeah, so feel free to join us. Be quite an interesting chat. I won't keep you too long. I won't waffle on too long. I'll keep it more to the expert, who's Christian. But it'd be, it's that time of year where we get excited for what might be coming in the new cat. But of course, the world has gone bonkers. So nothing's as straightforward as it would seem, unfortunately. But like I said, feel free to join us tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, and we go from there. Right, I now need to put all these back on and finish my cup of tea. But like I said, thanks for joining this afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed a little talk through of the Tempest, Typhoon, Swordfish, Harvard and Seafires. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon if I get another chance. Right, it's bye from me. It's bye from this dozy git, and bye for that other dozy git as well. I've got the radiator on, so they're really, really comfortable and cold. Right, have a good afternoon, guys.